Let's move on to this story. And I guess we'll call this, the beginning of the climate change news. We'll just kind of get straight into climate change news. Or this is climate adjacent. Over 5,600 fossil fuel companies have taken at least $3 billion in U.S. COVID-19 aid. $3 billion. More than 5,600 companies in the fossil fuel industry have taken a minimum of $3 billion in coronavirus aid from the U.S. federal government, according to an analysis by Documented and The Guardian of newly released data. The businesses include oil and gas drillers and coal mine operators, as well as refiners, pipeline companies, and firms that provide services to the industry. The Small Business Administration on Monday released the data under pressure for further transparency, including from journalism outlets that had sued, demanding the public records. The $3 billion figure is probably far less than the companies actually received. Wow. The SBA did not disclose the specific amounts of loans and instead listed ranges. On the high end, fossil fuel companies could have received up to $6.7 billion, at least 400. That is just an astonishing amount of money. An amazing amount of money that these fossil fuel companies are getting, and still people have not received their stimuluses or unemployment. Absolutely mind-boggling. At least 475 fossil fuel companies received at least $2 million, according to the data at SBA released that it collected from banks. Fossil fuel companies are not restricted from taking the forgivable Paycheck Protection Program. Loans designed to be used to keep paying employees and to cover reoccurring bills during the pandemic. Well, isn't that awesome that these death merchants got bailed out? Of course, so many other corporations and companies are also death merchants on many levels. But of course, we support death merchants. This government is a big supporter of death merchant capitalism. Anyways, yeah, I just wanted to. They go on to kind of go into the problems with some of these companies, how they are not very, ethically run, and they don't keep their books straight. But that's fine. We can give them a lot of money, billions of dollars or millions of dollars. Whereas small businesses or individual people would be forced to face the consequences, right? Or at least go out of business. Book Hermit says annual flu vaccines are already a huge scam. Well, on that, Book Hermit, we agree. Super scam. Super scammy. First polio vaccine killed some folks. It killed some folks. Right, Irk1, exactly. The USA is the fossil fuel industry. As long as USA exists, so will a fossil fuel industry, most likely. I don't really know what else to say about that. Our government and the apparatuses that make our government run are super corrupt, super compromised by corporations, by corporate ownership or corporate takeover. I don't really see a way out of it. I don't see that It doesn't look like voting helps on a major level, maybe on a very local level. But that's getting nowhere near, someone was bringing up the point that progressives tend to do well in very small district races, but if you're going like statewide, like you're running for a senator or governor, and of course if you're running for a president, right, those are the bigger races that they won't allow progressives to take those races. So you can get progressives in at a very local level, but how does that really affect the operation of the monstrosity, the gigantic entity that is the government of the United States? Not very much. So, they work hand in hand. To enrich each other and to keep each other, going and safe from lawsuits or safe from really any actual holding to account. That's really what it's all about. That's what it's all about. The hokey pokey is what it's all about. Anyways, here's a tweet that I thought was very interesting because it actually points to something that I talk about quite a bit on this channel about, what does it mean to be humanist, right? Like, there's a level of humanism which is always pro-human, but if you actually extended your humanism beyond yourself into the environment, you'd realize that you'd have to be you'd have to agree that humans can't always be the benefactor of every single decision, or every single technological advance, right? So I'm going to read this tweet from Karen Schrag. To be pro-human is to be anti-human. We cannot help our precarious position on top of the food pyramid. The more we promote the expansion of humans and our costly infrastructure, the more we condemn future human life. The earth is not infinite, nor can it handle our modern ways. That pretty much sums it up, and somebody says, bang. There's a lot of good comments on this. 75 million people added to the planet per annum consume natural resources, causing environmental degradation and physical and atmospheric pollution. It's not part of the problem, it's the core problem. The core problem. That's Bill Naylor. To be pro-human is to be realistic and compassionate, not anti-human, but maybe anti-human population expansion, but for a sustainable, steady-state future. Well, I'm certainly pro many fewer humans everywhere and anti any more humans anywhere, says Baka Karasu. Right, so what is, what does humanism really mean, or pro-humanists really mean? No, actually, Doug Delane, Pup just wanted to bite me. Puppy was biting me. I was not happy about that. And she is calling us to be anti-human. Well, I don't think she's calling us to be anti-human. I think she's saying, to get, if you're really pro-human, if you're like, okay, you want the species of humans to continue on the planet, you have to actually realize that humans cannot, use or do everything that they want to do, right? They can't use all the resources. We have to limit ourselves. And that's what I've been saying, I guess, for a very long time is, right? Like, people don't want any limits put on their actions or what they're doing. They want to be able to do whatever they want, to use whatever they want, or buy whatever they want, or go wherever they want, or they don't want any limitations on their actions. Even people who are very progressive, even, people who call themselves, very forward thinking or very, aware, climate aware, right? But I still want to fly. I still want to go on vacation. I still want to buy all the things I want to buy. I want to have a big house and cars and, have kids or whatever it is. Or, live till I'm 110, even though maybe those last 20 years aren't really fun at all. I don't know. We spend a lot of resources, keeping people alive for a really long time when maybe they're not really ready. Maybe they don't want to be here anymore. Right. Global youth. I'm not talking about global euthanasia. I'm just saying if people want to go and they don't, let them go. And I think, all right, Had Valmer, take it easy. Have a good one. I think that like people are going to have to come to the realization that we can't keep, having kids on all, anytime that we want to, or having as many kids as we want, or right. We have to really kind of take a very elevated, progressive, aware, enlightened approach to what it is we think about carrying on the human race or procreating, if you will, having babies, to put it in layman's terms. Raza Remen says, thank you for the super chat, Raza. Raza says, Kevin, you make me want to slash my wrists. I don't know. I don't, I'm not trying to make you feel that way, so. Exactly, LC, and this is a very important point. I was just listening to somebody talking about this. I believe it was yesterday. I think it was Jamal. I think it was on the Jamal Thomas show. But they were discussing whether technological advances are really questioned before they're rolled out. Right? LC says, or technology or supposed progress not evaluated thoroughly before we roll everything out. Right? So. It's always like technology is always given like a clear path and, just go right ahead. If it's new, if it's better, if it helps people, just go right ahead and just make that happen. Right. There isn't a, we try on some levels, there are things called environmental impact evaluations, on some technologies or some companies, right? We try not to let everything happen if it's going to hurt the earth. But, we don't think about Facebook or facial recognition or GMO seeds or 5G or, we don't think about these technologies as they roll out. Like, what are the future impacts to the planet or to people? We really don't think about it. We're just kind of like, well, it's new and it's, going to be really cool. So here you go. And that's how people think about, having babies. We can, and, it's new. It's really cool. It's a baby. So here you go. And babies are really cool. Some babies are very cool. My baby is very cool. Oh, and my dog's getting lots of love from my baby. She's getting lots of pets. Right, Russ Taylor, 5G, it's great. It'll protect children. Right. I mean, and everything is rolled out under the guise of safety, right? Literally everything. Oh my God. Right. So any advancement is like for people's safety, even if it's for people's ease, right? We all are addicted to our All of our appliances, our clothes washing appliances, or microwaves, or coffee makers, or whatever it is we're all addicted to. And all of those things now have been enveloped in this overarching, like, well, because it's hygienic, you have to have a, whatever it is, you have to have a certain standard of living or a certain number of appliances or a certain, you have to buy these things. You must buy these things because they're all for safety. They're for human safety or your children's safety, or, right? Because it's either hygienic or it's, whatever it is, right? Which is actually kind of, on many levels, it's bullshit. Implanting chips in pets, yes, exactly. And that's just warming everybody up for implanting chips in humans. Yeah. Baby hippos. Yeah, exactly. So I'm going back to read a couple of comments. Judy Truitt says that's what they did when they discovered x-rays, put them in department stores for fitting shoes. Right. We had fun sticking our feet in and seeing the bones. Right. Exactly. Exactly. So many things were brought to fruition or brought to the market that were so dangerous and so harmful. And then like 20 or 30 years later, they're like, oh yeah, we shouldn't have done that. Remember chlorofluorocarbons that ate a big hole in the ozone layer? That, all of that was part of like, makes your life better and makes everything great. And it keeps your food cold. Well, if you don't have a refrigerator, if you don't have an ice box, if you don't have cold food, like, what kind of human being are you? Social worker might come to your house and go like, you don't have a refrigerator? You don't keep your food cold? Where do you, where's your freezer? Where's your, whatever? Where's your stove? Where's your, obviously everybody uses stoves, but I'm just saying, I'm just throwing out these things that we basically take for granted. Where's your car? You don't have a car? How do you get around? Right? Like all these things that you're supposed to have that might impact your life negatively if you don't have them by the powers that be. You don't have a connection to the power grid. You don't have a connection to the water supply. That's illegal, sir or ma'am. Because it's all about safety. That's safety. Baby powder, indeed. Irk1, radium toothpaste. Kevin, welcome to the Costa Rica life. Exactly, Gene. That's what I'm talking about. Like people who live much simpler lives and lives that, by our standards would be called underdeveloped. Or, whatever, just not as industrialized as the first world. But, those are the people that are actually living way more lower carbon footprint lifestyles. Those are the lifestyles that we have to adopt if we are going to turn this ship around, or if first world countries are going to make an impact, if the rich are going to stop burning the planet. And by the rich, I mean everybody who lives in the United States. Everybody who lives in the United States, even if you're on the poor spectrum in the United States, you live far better than anybody else on the planet. Has anybody done one of the carbon footprint tests online? Right, you can go online and like take a carbon footprint test. Right, how much carbon do you emit, or how many Earths worth of resources do you use a year? And I'm going to tell you, if you live in the United States, you're automatically like in the range of using like 3 Earths a year worth of resources or more. Everybody in the United States, even if you're dirt poor, or even if you really watch your carbon footprint, if you never fly, if you never drive, you still, just by just your sheer location of where you live in the United States And, just living here induces a lifestyle that uses an enormous amount of resources and also an enormous amount of emissions. And you have to work very hard to escape that. Yes, the Costa Rica life. Well, maybe one day we will all live and enjoy the Costa Rican life. Only wherever we're at, whether you're in Russia or Sweden, Canada, Bolivia, you enjoy the Costa Rican life. Although Bolivia probably already enjoys the Costa Rican life. I know, TCR Galaxy, I know. And we're trying our damnedest to get the NFL and NBA and NASCAR fired back. Oh, yeah. Oh, can't wait for basketball season and baseball season. Yeah. Anyways, let's move on. I've been yakking it up. But I just kind of wanted to, we took a little trip down an alley, down the humanist, non-humanist alley, or whatever you want to call that. This is an update from Zach Labe on sea ice. And, again, not good news. Not good news. We are at a record low. We're at a record low right now. This graph pretty much sums it up, right? We started low, and we stayed low. And we're going to get lower. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? We are going to get lower. Let's move on to more from Zach Labe. The latest June 2020 analysis very clearly shows how the recent anomalous pattern is contributing to significant declines in Arctic sea ice thickness and hence sea ice volume, data from Biomass. So here we are. We actually started off, much better, and not much better, but better than the lowest, better than all the way bad, but now we are actually in line. Excuse me, with the lowest amount of sea ice, and then again here, Arctic sea ice. The latest June. So I read that. I can't really make this any bigger. I want to, but maybe it doesn't matter. But here we are in line with the lowest of the low already here. As you can see that. Here and here. Yeah. JAXA had a double century drop yesterday, really. Good Lord. Yeah, I mean, it's just going to keep on getting lower, but we're keeping an eye on it. We started with thin ice, exactly. Well, that's the thing that I think is left out of the conversation. Really quickly, guys, we got 110 watching, and please like up the video. And if you are new to the channel, please remember to subscribe. Thank you so much. This is the time to keep an eye on the ice, as we're deep into the melt season, or we're getting into the melt season. We've got 2.5 more months until the low. Maybe a little over 2.5, about 2.5 months. About 10 weeks until the seasonal low. And so, yes, we started with very thin ice, not thick ice. So that thin ice, we started with very thin ice. And so the likelihood that melts very quickly, just move the blanket. Thank you. No, I don't want her to get that. Okay, get her down. Get her down. Thank you. Yeah, extent is a non-issue, exactly. Okay, let's move on to... This is very frightening. Deadly lightning strikes in India kill 147 in 10 days and are predicted to get worse. This is not a regional phenomenon. This is a global phenomenon as we get more water vapor in the atmosphere, as the atmosphere warms up, as storms become more intense. Lightning strikes will become more prevalent and they will become more deadly. And this will become a serious health hazard, if you will. This is from July 6th. Lightning strikes killed 147 people in the North Indian state of Bihar. Over the last 10 days, officials said Sunday, warning of more extreme weather conditions to come, driven by climate change. Around 215 people, farmers, rural laborers, and cattle grazers, have now died from strikes in the country's poorest state since late March, authorities said. I was informed by weather experts, scientists, and officials that rising temperatures due to climate change is the main cause behind the increasing lightning strikes. Bihar's disaster management minister Lakshmeshwar Rai told AFP 25 people died on Saturday. The Indian Meteorological Department has warned of more lightning in the next 48 hours. Lightning strikes during the annual monsoon that runs from June to September are fairly common in India. But officials said this year's toll in Bihar has already surpassed the total number of deaths recorded annually for the state over the past few years, even though the monsoon season has just started. Last year, 170 people were killed in lightning strikes during the monsoon period. More than 2,300 people were killed by lightning in India in 2018, according to the National Crime Records Bureau, the most recent figures available. That is a lot of people. And yes, very scary. Again, this is another extreme. We'll chalk this up to a weather phenomena. G. Demmer says, lightning strikes, I just got used to murder hornets. Yeah, watch out for the murder hornets and lightning strikes. I don't know why I can't say murder hornets. It's really weird. It's like a weird thing to say in my mouth. Anyways, my roofer told me that lightning rods don't work. Basil Peterson says that. Yeah, but so lightning is going to become more of an event. Jay Thadcast, past 2 days, we've been having the same but no casualties. And lightning strikes will increase, and so will, I'm sure, injuries and death by lightning strike. or death by 1,000 cuts, as Oceanic Estate says. Snork Y2K says Indian farmers are so poor that even if they knew lightning was in the area, that they feel they cannot afford to postpone working. And that is right on the money, exactly. If you have to keep on working, you can't take a break and you can't take shelter. Guy Smith sounds like a dog and pony. Yeah. My dog is mischievous and she likes to eat people. She likes to bite people and grab things to take outside and chew on before anybody can get her. Yes, she wants to eat a blanket. Yep. Yeah, so let's move on to the last thing I wanted to cover today, guys. As per the title of the video, New Normal, Will You Stop Flying? We would like to hear from Guardian readers for a video series about what's next for travel and environment. And this is just basically, they're questioning people. In our video series, A New Normal, we ask Guardian readers what they want A future shaped by COVID-19 to look like. Our next episode will look at air travel and its environmental impact. Has the pandemic affected your thoughts about the way you will travel for leisure and work in the future? Would you consider giving up flying to offset your carbon footprint? Or do you miss overseas holidays, need to travel internationally for work, or have you already booked a flight abroad? Should people be encouraged to fly less? Should they? Should they? That's funny that they even asked that question. And should measures be put in place to help protect the environment? If so, should they be? So they're asking a question. I mean, it's a little obvious how most on this channel feel about flying, or how most on this channel understand the environmental impact of flying. Obviously. Hey guys, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. You can also support the channel at the links below: PayPal, Square, and Patreon. Also, all of my live streams are available for listening on Patreon if you happen to miss them during the day. So you can sign up for my Patreon for as little as $1. If you want to go check out the live streams, they are all there. Thanks a lot.